This is John Ecken, and I want to do a quick video blog on the new Dataflow preview that just came out in November of 2008 with Power BI. As many of you maybe know, when I talk about Power BI, one of my favorite things is the idea of building enterprise data sets, especially if you're not going to be using something like analysis services. I think that to really let Power BI be useful to the enterprise, you've got to get to some point of self-service where a lot of individuals can create reports, even if they're not really understand what the data is or how that data relates. And so, those enterprise data sets where we could go in and build a data set first in Power BI Desktop, publish that, and then allow others to take advantage of that was, to me, really one of the great feature that was added into Power BI. The problem with that is that with that enterprise data set, that individual is pretty much locked into that data set. So once they connected to the enterprise data set, they had some of the modeling capabilities available. They had some of the abilities still to maybe create some new measures. But they were fairly locked into what that data offered. And sometimes individuals realized that they needed, I need more. I need to add another column to the table that could be useful based on some calculation. So they were back to kind of going back to square one, where they now in their Power BI report had to pull the data in, and make those connections again. So with Dataflow is basically going to bring the concept of shaping data using our Power BI queries and the M language to the cloud and allow it to be reusable by the enterprise. So I kind of have that first step in the process of shared data sets where I can go into a data flow and I can connect to my data. I can connect to multiple data sources. I can do some first level shaping of that data and then allow other people to connect to those data flows to build reports. I also get the advantage that it actually uses the Azure Data Lakes platform for storage. So we actually get a really good quick storage engine or storage location for our data once we pull it up into a data flow. And again, that's offered at no additional cost. There's definitely some differences in data flows that you're going to see if you're a Power BI Pro licensed user versus a Power BI Premium licensed user. But the concept of me being able to go in and completely connect and shape my data first, then allow other people in the enterprise to connect to that data and build additional models off of that data, I think really opens up Power BI for self-service into a lot of different platforms. So I'm going to do a quick preview here just to show you kind of some of the basic things that you're going to see in Dataflow. If you've been using Power BI for a while, you'll notice that a lot of this is similar to what you would see inside of some type of M code, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to start. I am in an empty app inside of Power BI in the cloud, and I'm going to click on the data flows, and again, it is in preview still. I'm going to go up here to create. I'm going to create a new data flow. Here, it's going to ask me to define my entities, so I'll add entities here to a new data flow. And what you're going to quickly notice is you're presented with a kind of an array of different data sources that are available for data flow. Obviously, if you've been using Power BI for a while, this is not near the number of data sources that you would have available to you in Power BI. But based on this being a cloud-based service, these are the ones that we're going to be able to easily access and work with in the cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a SQL Server connection here. So again, it's going to ask me for basic information that we would have connecting to a SQL Server. can connect through on-premise gateways here with Dataflows. I'm not in this particular instance, but that is something that you are also able to do. And quickly, you're probably going to notice that this looks a lot like the desktop Power Query shaping tool. So we're presented with all the tables based on our connection. I'm going to be able to go ahead and select which tables of information I want to bring into my data flow. I'm going to go ahead and hit next here. And I'm going to be presented now with my shaping tool. This is still using the M language. Notice we still have our applied steps here on the side. So we are going to get a lot of the same function and capability that we had in Power BI Desktop now up in the cloud. I'm sure there will be things that are missing. You can directly write M code. So if there are things that you've done, you can put the M directly inside of these functions, your source, whatever you need to do. So it really does give you a lot of functionality and capability. But again, this is up in the cloud and it's going to be usable by everybody that's a membership to this actual app. So do a couple quick things here. Do a couple renames. Just a couple simple things there. Just going to show some of the things that you could normally do in Power BI Desktop that you can still do in your data flow. So first thing, I'm going to look at my date field here. I can rename columns. I can remove columns that I don't need. So let's say we're not going to use this column here. I can go ahead and remove this. And again, a lot of the same options that I would normally see using my Power Query tool, split columns, replace values, all that's still available here up in the cloud. So do a couple other things here. We're going to go ahead and add. We'll extract some pieces of the date out. So we'll get the year. We'll go ahead and get the month number. Do a quick rename of that. And we'll go ahead and get one more thing. We'll get the actual name of the month. So again, not going to go through all the capabilities that you can do here in this little video, but you can see quickly I get a lot of the same capabilities that I would have had back in Power BI Desktop. Get data again. I can still pull from other sources in the same data flow. Okay, so again, that's just quick, simple. This is not meant to really go in and show everything that this data flow can do. But I do want you guys to start to see kind of the evolution that we're seeing in Power BI and how if you really want to get to some type of self-service model, this is kind of that next step. This is where we're going to go in and really connect to our data and give individuals access to our data. And I would see this for that kind of power user. If I look at my Power BI kind of class of individuals, we have our consumers that are just going to look at our reports. We probably have kind of our, maybe our pro users, I don't know, maybe our mid-level users that, they probably don't have any idea how to model data, but man, they can go in and pull stuff in and really make a report. And then we have the people that can, truly go out and build these models. Well, this is kind of the person that good for that person that falls right in between. Is like, hey, I don't really know where my data is, or my data is not in a really good format, and I'm not even sure how to clean that data up. But I don't want that model to be 100% already built for me. I still want to have the ability to add columns that I need. I want to have the ability to control the data that I bring in, and this is what that's perfect for. Okay, so going in, looks like I fixed everything that I wanted to get done for simple here. I'm going to go ahead, let me get rid of that too. That's just what those warnings are. We're going to hit done here. So at this point, it's actually validating my queries, making sure they can be loaded. And once they're done, here's my entities. Okay. Now, currently in Pro, they're allowing incremental refreshes to be on. So this is actually where you can go in and actually do partial updates, which is really a cool process that we're going to have. So, but once this is created, we'll hit save here. I'm going to give it a name. Hit save and we're ready to go. Notice I can refresh now. I can schedule refreshes, just like any other data set would be. So let's go ahead and do a refresh real quick. Okay, so we've got our data refreshed, and let's take a look at how this now looks inside of Power BI Desktop. So here we are in a new Power BI Desktop report. Go ahead and go to Get Data. Choose my Power BI, choose my data flow now, and connect. And now we'll see there's our application folder, there's our name of our data flow, and then there's my data tables that are available. So we'll select all of those again. Again, here I can click edit, and I now can go in and really, edit this further if I needed to. So again, this is the advantage of this is from an enterprise level, I can gather all this data, put it into Power BI, store it in a data lake on Azure. So I get good performance. I get my ETL process done at an enterprise level. But now I'm allowing for self-service. I'm not restricting, I guess, more than allowing people to still kind of work with the data and do what they want with the data instead of being solely kind of locked into my model. So you can see they can remove fields. If they're like, oh, I'm not going to use this one, they have that ability just like I did in building the data flow, but now they're doing this for their own data set. I, though, still control refreshes. Okay, so even though they're building this data set, I'm the one controlling the actual access to the data, the refresh rates and stuff like that. So I get a lot of reusability. Whereas before, I've seen a lot of organization where they'll have 10 reports that are all against the same data, but everybody built their own data set. And so all of a sudden they have the same data sitting in Power BI 10 different times. 10 different people controlling possibly the refreshes and things like that. This allows me that single place, that single location for that. Okay, so I'm not going to go through actually making changes here. That's not what the purpose of this demonstration is. But again, we can just see how once that flow is up and available, how I can go in and completely control and access that data. Again, relationships are still there. So, at this point, this is just a data model. As far as Power BI is concerned, there's really no difference between me connecting directly, say, to SQL versus connecting to that data flow. Okay, so again, that's just a quick overview. There's so much more about data flows that is still to be known. They're still in preview. Again, there's going to be a difference between what you can do if you're a pro user versus a premium user. But again, this is another step forward with Microsoft and really making this making Power BI be an enterprise self-service reporting solution.